I'll hit go live. Rune better show up soon.
So I'm going to see if you can sense what I've got in front of your face right now. Do you know what that is?
I think I know what it is. Oh, it's a rose.
It's a rose, yeah.
Thank you. I wanted that. Thank you.
Fuck.
That was just for you, Church.
I feel like that was just a missed opportunity for that man.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
he made the wrong move there.
See, I'm curious. She smelled it and then assumed it was his penis. I don't think my dick smells like a rose, but I could be wrong.
Wait.
I'm not that flexible to find out.
I am, and mine does, so I don't know what's wrong with you.
Oh, I mean, mine probably smells like
I'm flexible.
tobacco.
And before somebody else makes a joke, I'm flexible enough to smell your junk.
Hello, HR.
Yeah. They exist to protect the company.
Well, this is
anyway.
How is it, everybody?
You got out of bed for this.
I also have this. If it loads. Oh, come on, you fucker. There we go. Trans woman is cleared of flashing her penis at Ohio YMCA after judge ruled she's too fat for her genitals to be visible.
Woo lad. Woo lad. No, I actually saw. Let me see if I can find it. I saw something terrifying today too, or yesterday. If I can find the image. Here we go. Open a new tab. Separate the tab. Dox myself. There we go. All right. So, you guys know what a railgun is, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Never wear a butt plug to your MRI appointment.
I thought we covered that already.
Greatest personal injury case I've ever heard. An esteemed valley attorney has picked up a client who is suing a sex toy company. Said client purchased a butt plug that was advertised as 100% silicone. Client wears butt plug to MRI appointment. Much to client's dismay, butt plug has a metallic core. Butt plug is accelerated at the speed of sound into the client's chest cavity. Described in memo as anal railgun. Client survived with major injuries.
Well, that was a wonderful time for Rune to come and join us.
Oh, anal railgun, Rune, go.
Well, he's muted and he said BRB.
Anyway, with that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Church of Failure. As you've noticed, it's Friday night. We're moving back to Fridays for the first time in a long time because I need sleep.
I mean,
by the way, this is my Monday, but
you have to go to work like first thing.
No, not till
end of the week.
Yeah, I work noon to 8 every day, and my week is Friday to Tuesday.
Oh, that's terrible. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's my fault for being like good with customers and picking up everything way quicker than I should have let on. I should have like struggled a little bit instead of like making it known.
I'm learning the older I'm learning that the older that I get, that you should never show your full power level at your job.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted. I hate training, right? Like once I get something, I just kind of want to do it. So after like a day and a half, I was just like, yeah, I got this. It's fine. And then just kind of jumped on one of the computers and started helping people.
So thank you, gentlemen. You saved me from a uncomfortable conversation.
Oh, no,
Anal railgun?
I'm sorry, what?
Anal railgun?
Anal railgun.
I honestly think the anal railgun would be preferable. So,
Oh.
Ayrton, you will appreciate this.
Okay.
You and I do not often agree on the subject of the women because we just have different approaches. Okay? But I will credence you. There is a special classification of crazy that must be avoided. Okay?
And that's the go for it.
So, met this young woman. We start talking. Everything is going okay, and she starts talking about she's into me, using the big words, right?
Ooh.
And is like, when we get married, and when are you coming to Hawaii? When are you coming to Hawaii? And I'm like resisting the urge to say, bitch, because that's rude. But my brain is going, bitch, I met you 20 minutes ago. What the fuck?
See, Rune, what you have to do with those girls is
Right.
you have to play along, right? So she
Right.
says, like, when are you coming to Hawaii? You be like, I don't know. When are you coming to Washington? You gotta flip it. You gotta flip it on them. You have to throw them off their feet. Sweep the leg, as it were.
Well, here's the thing. That one's weird, but not disturbing. Okay.
Okay.
So, because I wander around and I meet people, I run into another young lady. Okay, all good. How you doing? Everything's great, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking, and she's like, do you want to video chat? Okay, fine, I can video chat. So we're sitting there and we're talking, and we're video chatting all as well, right? And she's talking about how she's depressed. Okay, well, that's unfortunate, right? And she's listening to her music while being on mic, which is terrible because the cross noise does not work. But I'm being polite, and she's playing with a fucking knife. And I don't mean a little knife. I mean a big knife. Right? And I'm like, so what are you doing? And she's like, thinking. I'm like, thinking about what? And she's like, thinking about self-harm. And I'm like, okay.
So Rune, I'm kind of a connoisseur of this kind of crazy, right?
But wait, it gets better. Right? So I exfiltrate from that scenario PDQ, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? This person is now literally bothering me. Okay.
Rune's like the crazy bitch fucking Billy made. But wait, there's more.
Right.
So Rune, what you do with these chicks?
This person is like spamming me messages, right, to talk to them, and it's like I've told them, it's like I work during the day. I can't talk to people at work.
So Rune,
yeah.
It's a little harder because you're crippled, so you can't really run.
Yeah.
As easily, but there's a specific level of like an adrenaline rush you get from fooling around with these chicks. Like you're like, oh, am I gonna come or am I gonna get stabbed in the chest?
I'm familiar. I'm familiar with the "don't stick your dick in crazy, but crazy is so hot" conundrum.
Yes,
I believe we should proclaim it Ayrton's law.
You're not wrong, but no, so you have to do like this weird tightrope walk balancing trick so you don't get murdered before you orgasm. You want to at least orgasm first before they stab you.
Real quick, somebody write that down and send it to me in a message. I'll make an image macro for it.
What, Ayrton's law?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's the trick. Like if they have to be hot enough though. If they're not hot enough, it's not worth it. If they're hot enough, you gotta balance. You gotta just balance on that wire, get to the finish line, and then you need to get the fuck out of there as quickly as possible.
I'm sure Larry has the skill to codify the complexities of the sub paragraphs of this law into a small witticism the size of like Poe's law or Murphy's law, so we can.
Yeah, I just need 2 sentences at most.
But
actually, no. I think I've got it. the
Send it to me in
attraction.
text form.
Okay. I'm gonna try this.
We'll spring it on the chat next week.
Okay.
Yeah. So while you do that, Rune, I have a surprise. Larry and Church
good.
already saw it, so I have a surprise for you, and this is a good time for me to go pee because I didn't do this before the show properly. So watch this video I made.
I drink copious amounts of hard liquor, and these motherfuckers get one beer in them, and they get fucking wild. But me, I'm just like, I don't want to fucking express what I'm thinking on the internet. It'll get me locked up in fucking Guantanamo Bay. You'll fucking think that I'm the next Alex Jones out here. What the fuck are you doing to me?
I don't like that they're making the Transformers gay.
Well, that is the main topic of the evening.
Well, look. We can't make the Transformers gay because Transformers have male and female input.
My pronouns are they, them.
Thanks. I'm Sam. I'm she, they, but you already know that.
Inputs.
They're
and
trans.
male inputs don't inter.
What do you mean?
I'm not even gonna have to say anything this week, am I? You guys are just gonna fucking handle my language. Let me sit back and fucking do nothing. We already broke Rune, for fuck's sake.
Oh no, it gets better because bringing it back around to the fact that this is technically a comics podcast. There was that clip that Larry proposed where what is it, like one of the Gwens and some other character were introducing themselves by pronouns. This will never be a thing. This will never be a fucking thing. That's like walking up and saying, "Hi, my name is Jim. I'm an AC battery," and then someone else going, "Hi, my name is Bill. I'm a DC battery." It's never gonna be a thing.
I mostly made that to point out that we predicted this like 2.5 years ago.
We did.
We did.
Fucking did.
Fuck, we've been doing it this long.
We have.
Dude, Church, you and me have been doing this show for 4 years.
I gotta go get cigarettes, guys. I'll be back.
Look. I am horrified to put together that I have been on this show first as a guest and now as a de facto co-host for 3 years.
Yeah, how have I put up with you all for this long?
Oh wait,
have I been drunk for that long?
I mean, partially, but also we are a delicate weave that comes into perfect alignment with all four of us.
Church, I miscounted. 5 years.
How pickled am I at this point?
Very.
Are any of can I just drop the organ donor off my license now?
You probably should. I mean, I can smell your formaldehyde through the microphone.
I want them to dig for him anyway. Make them fucking work for their money.
I mean, we all know you can't donate your liver or your kidneys.
I don't think I even still have either of those.
Look,
and I don't think you were born with a heart.
Well, look, I know that Commander is here, but and I know Darb is here apparently. But if anybody else is out there watching this and you're an artist, we need photos. We need pictures of Spider-Man. But no, we need drawings of Pickle Church.
A Pickle Church.
We need drawings. We need drawings of pictures.
Put it into an AI room for fuck's sake. Nobody pays artists anymore.
Oh no, I'm currently working on an art project with an artist that I'm paying him $50 for.
You fucking no-sell my shit.
Oh, and that's actually a good segue. So was that yesterday we did that, Larry?
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know what was going on, so I jumped. I thought you guys were just fucking about.
I mean, I was going to segue.
I mean, we were.
Since we were talking about crazy sexual misadventures, I was going to segue to Futurama's return because Death by Snoo Snoo. Then we started talking about transsexual Transformers. So
let them talk about the AI thing first.
So I got access to, and by now Ayrton probably has access to the Google AI app for music.
I should check my email to see if I did get access to that. Hold on.
I mean, Matt asked for access around
I mean-
the same time you did, so you should have it in your email box.
I mean, Commander Classified, some people really do need your kidney.
But we had a little technical snafu on Ayrton's channel trying to experiment with this. But I brought Ayrton into this because Ayrton knows about music. And as we were doing this little experiment, Ayrton knows a lot about music.
Yeah. So what was interesting about it is I still need to look up where they gathered the data sets from, because that was something that we were running into. You couldn't put like David Gilmour plays a Baroque piece in the style of 80s synthwave. It wouldn't know what to do with that because you put in David Gilmour. But if you more broaden the terms and stuff, it seemed to work better. So that's one thing I want to look into more, is how the data sets work on it. But it did a surprisingly good job, like overall.
Especially with regional genres.
Yes.
Well, your guys' experiment is musical in nature. He's not available right now, but if I could get David, Coyote, onto the podcast, he is, among his other jobs, a professional-ish artist in photography.
Mm-hmm.
And he's actually combining AI-generated art with his photography to create new images. So
that's interesting.
Oh, that's nothing. There's like a major in Europe, a major photographer. He took AI art, put it onto film, and he won a Polaroid contest in Europe.
Well,
and he had to tell them, no, this wasn't a real photo.
The first thing is that I understand that, but this would be a visual artist giving his 2 cents on AI rather than listening to my 2 cents on it. And B, it's an excuse to have titties on the podcast, Larry. Don't get in the way of titties.
Bro. Unstable Diffusion just dropped their beta test today.
I'm just
Unstable Diffusion is a version of the Stable Diffusion source code that was trained on porn.
I'm just saying that David's primary artistic representation for his models is mature, bordering on the erotic. He doesn't actually traipse into pornographic, although your mileage may vary. So
right, but I'm saying this is an AI art bot that was trained on pornographic images, so it does the whole range of the human form.
We should literally call it Pornbot.
Yeah.
Well, let's see the Discord.
All right. Let me admit, is it Pornbot or Dick
Pornbot's already
Machine?
licensed.
Or is it Dick Machine?
It's called
both of those are all licensed.
Diffusion. Yeah, it's Unstable Diffusion. And before Unstable Diffusion rolled out, apparently a few other people brought ones out, but they were not as good.
Damn it.
BoneBot is an AI solution to automatically detecting future. Hold on. Vertebral fractures.
What about Ovulatron?
I think that was probably safe.
I mean, Ovulatron sounds like a punk rock band name.
That's true.
It does look like it's a French word.
That's racist.
And it sounds a lot like ovulation, so that's what Google is automatically correcting it to.
Ayrton, don't lie. We all know the French aren't a race. They have little tails.
That's true.
But Rune, I'm going to send you in private a sample of what Unstable Diffusion produces.
Okay.
And so going back to the music one, this is what's kind of interesting. I've been hearing similar arguments from like AI art stuff.
That is surprisingly wholesome, Larry.
Yeah.
That is some girl next door.
Okay, well, share with the rest of the class.
You follow up your perversions in your own time, Ayrton. I'm not required to provide you pornography.
So continue describing the music thing, because my experience, I have been playing around with these bots since generation 2 of the technology, and this is very much like what the first and early second generation of the AI art bots were like.
Yeah, I see really cool. I see really cool potential in the fact of, let's see, I haven't quite gotten down the hang of using like digital instruments to like write backing tracks and stuff like that for whatever I write. You know, sometimes I'll write guitar licks and stuff like that. I'm like, man, that would sound really cool in this kind of song, but I just don't have the resources to be able to do it properly.
Mhm.
But if I could, and I want to experiment with this,
Mhm.
if I could say put a guitar riff or melody or whatever into the AI, which it does have an audio input function, which we didn't really get to mess with much yet.
Yes.
But so if I can do that and then say I want these instruments with this sort of sound and yada yada yada, and kind of like plot out what I want it to do, and it can create a band behind me. Like for someone like me that doesn't play well with others, but I but like I would like to do more like bigger live music as opposed to just like my acoustic folk stuff, which I love doing, but it's fun to kind of like just rock out, to be able to write things independently and have that full thing that I can just like hook my iPad or my computer through a soundboard and an electric guitar and I could play a full concert. Like that is
So
such a cool
that's the dream.
concept to me.
Mhm.
Well,
So
it's a
in-
cool concept because I was playing around with getting a loop pedal and an octave pedal for my electric guitar and running my electric drum set through the loop, laying down a bass line by dropping the octave on my guitar, and then laying down the drum track through the loop and then playing the guitar over it. But that's super tedious and it's very hard to make work well in a live setting.
Just
But if
learn how to play a hurdy-gurdy.
so
I do want to get a hurdy-gurdy, but if I can pre-program an AI to be like, hey, this is what we're gonna do essentially, and then
So-
be able to just hit go on it once everything's hooked up and live would be so cool.
So in the same way that we predicted Transformers, my favorite episode of Death of Metalocalypse has predicted the future of drum machines.
Mhm.
Because there's an episode in which the drummer goes to rehab, and while he's there, they replace him with a drum machine. The drum machine becomes self-aware and then violently tries to kill the band because he believes they're going to replace him when they bring back the original drummer. So you know, drunken Terminator T-1000 drum bot is the future.
Which I'm okay with.
And we and Church and Ayrton, you could both look at that pornographic image because I just sent it
I
to
just
you.
did.
Actually,
that's
I
impressive.
I don't actually believe it to be pornographic. That's me being glib. I think it is actually just a nude, which is fine. Nude.
Now, now to give you an idea, something that I originally started with Matt Krotz playing around with this, trying to break the code down to use this stuff for comic books. I want you to pull up what I just posted in the Twitter group. This is stuff the latest and greatest version of Stable Diffusion is using. This is the prompt is Forrest Gump in comic book style of Jerome Opina.
Okay, one sec.
Now, the biggest.
You notice one thing that AIs, you know what AIs are doing that regular artists aren't? Detailed fucking backgrounds.
Well, no, they didn't used to be able to do detailed backgrounds on this level of quality. This is like the current generation of the software is what has kicked it up to this level.
And you said this is Stable Diffusion?
This is Stable Diffusion.
Well,
now the big problem we've had is trying to generate consistent stable backgrounds, because obviously if you're wanting to do a comic book background and if you can get it stable and consistent and then you slap your actual drawn character in the front, you are good to go and you save a ton of money.
Well, if we're talking about comics again for a moment. The problem, Church, is over the course of decades, let's say starting in the 90s, draftsmanship for backgrounds became devalued to character art. And admittedly, awesome characters are great. But then what we now have is people who can't do either, but they are able to do an image search on the Googles and basically trace a fucking photograph. So this is just the natural progression.
Let me, but before you get too far into that, let me just say, as a graphic designer, tracing is fucking tedious too.
Oh, absolutely.
It's still the same amount of
Also-
time to put lines down on paper.
Well, that's why
Also-
That's why they get caught, though. They get caught because they're
Jack
lazy
Kirby
about
used, Jack Kirby used to trace all the time.
it. Right, but there's a difference between working from a standard in comic and literally grabbing the first result on a Google image search, cut and
Oh
pasting
yeah, you at least
it,
go 3 pages deep.
and then overlapping it and I mean they barely trace. They're literally turning photographs into comic art and then making minor adjustments. So, I mean, the reason that this has amazing backgrounds isn't just because they're amazing, but because it has backgrounds. Because they actually because the machine somehow gave a shit to have draftsmanship.
Well, I would almost guarantee all of these backgrounds come from photos that are just digitized through a Photoshop filter.
Oh, I'm 100% sure they are.
It's a little bit more complicated than that, but
that's the general premise, right?
Not exactly.
Okay.
Basically, various images are composited with text, and you say, I want X, and then the language model says X is similar to these tags. Ergo,
And then-
it needs to look like this.
And then essentially it takes a bunch of data noise, if you will, and then diffuses it down into something usable. Is more or less what it does, is my understanding of it. Is it takes all of this different data and noise and then compresses it down into something new. Is that a fair description of how that works?
That's a fair description.
Okay.
And-
George, I got a question on a random other subject because
Okay.
this discussion of art reminded me. What the fuck band is this that you put into the thing?
Huh?
What?
Oh wait, no, it's Red Hot Chili Peppers. What fucking
Yes.
album is this?
Blood Sugar Sex Magic.
Yeah.
I do not know what songs are from this. Should I listen to this?
You should absolutely listen to it. It's peak.
That-
It's peak Chili Peppers on drugs.
Yeah, that's like their breakout album.
Okay, so this is the one that has all the good stuff on it.
No,
Yeah, this
not
is
all
the
the
one-
good stuff, but
This is the one before Stadium Arcadium, right? Or is this the one
No.
right after?
no. What is wrong with you people? Blood
Okay,
Sugar
I've
Sex
never-
Magic came out in 91. This is the one that came out like I don't fucking know, but it's got Give It Away on there. It's got Breaking the Girl on there.
I know, random subject change, but it was in the back of my brain, and here you are to
It's got
ask.
Suck My Kiss on there.
Hmm?
No, if I'm correct, let me let's see here. Yeah, okay. So the Chili Peppers debut album was 84. Then they came out with Freaky Styley and the Uplift Mofo Party Plan. Mother's Milk in 89. Blood Sugar Sex Magic was like peak drug Chili Peppers. And then you got One Hot Minute when they were getting clean and Californication when they were clean. By the way, was in 2002 and Stadium Arcadium was 06, buddy.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I only ever
Anything
listened.
after Californication is sober Chili Peppers.
All I've ever listened to was Blood Sugar Sex Magic and Stadium Arcadium. I didn't listen to much of their other stuff. I never really
Right,
liked the Chili Peppers that
Californication,
much.
and by the way, you should both listen to. I
mean,
would say you should definitely listen to the Upload Party Plan.
I know stuff off it, but I haven't listened to the whole albums.
Yeah, but their greatest songs never become their breakout songs. That's at least my feeling
fair.
about Chili Peppers.
I don't
Anyway,
know. Okay, yeah, we don't need to get into that discussion.
Now that I've answered Rune's question, what is this you're pulling up, Ayrton?
Something Larry told me to pull up.
Oh, well, don't do that right now.
I said if we were going to segue off of the topic of AI art, because that's how Shonen Jump is planning to sacrifice writers to AI. But I mean, it's a Shonen magazine, so of course they're going to sacrifice writers.
I've answered Rune's question, but you know, I got a bone to pick with you, Rune. He's muted. I can't even. What the fuck? Unmute yourself, you bastard.
He's probably getting his food.
I was
there we go. He's back.
Oh, okay. Everything okay?
Yeah.
All right, now I'm going to start bitching then.
Okay. I mean, I was actually going to bring up something comics related because I actually have an interesting question.
Were you going to bring up something comics related? Because you said that a bunch of times over the last couple of weeks, and it's starting to bother me to the point that I brought some content and some fucking reviews, boys.
No shit. You actually did your job for once.
Hey, fuck you. My job's making sure the stream goes off.
I thought that was my job at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's basically what Ayrton does.
Yeah, well, I mean, I delegate. I'm a good boss.
Anyway, I have read this before, by the way.
It's trash, isn't it?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Reading wise, the art's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, it's an anthology, but it's all over the place and nothing matters.
Yeah, it's all over the place, and there's not enough time given to any one particular story in the book.
The thing is, give me a second. Give me a second. Back up a second. I want to see who the writer is.
Oh, it tells you at the beginning of each story.
Okay. Is Richard Knack the writer of any of them?
You got David Land on the Druid one. This guy turns into a bear. He blinded his brother.
Yeah.
He came back to protect his village, and he died, and they made a statue of him or something.
Some shit.
It's too fast paced, and there's nothing that makes you care about any of these characters.
It'd be a good story.
Artwork, it's fucking beautiful.
It'd be a good story if it got an entire book for it. Right.
Which, believe it or not, I actually read 6 comics for this show.
No
Wait,
shit.
Rune, did you just say it would be a good story if it was written well in a full story?
Yes.
Okay.
But anyway, Druid turns into a bear, accidentally hurts his brother, fucking goes to hide in the woods until somebody comes to look for him to fight off demon hordes.
Yep.
A lot of action. The action's really good, and that's what I'm saying. The artistry in this first story is amazing. But there's just not a lot of story to it. I like the lettering because this sequence of pages really feels like a fight in Diablo 2. Like this is what I imagine happening while I'm pressing the A button repeatedly on my Switch.
Yeah.
And it's a nice little nod that he dropped an artifact, a charm, if you will.
Yeah.
But anyway, the writer on the next one is
this is
Mike
McNulty
Mara, but it's done by Francisco Ruiz Velasco, which I think has done other stuff that we reviewed.
But it's someone riffing on Magnolia's style.
Yeah, but this one is a barbarian who basically gets enticed by a necromancer to go find an artifact.
In matter of point, can I just throw out there that logically, if you're going to do a druid and then a barbarian, you might as well make both stories about the same character and just make it a succession of adventures.
No. Make it about a party. Make it a D&D story.
I mean, sure, but I'm just saying that the differential between a barbarian and the Diablo druid within the context of fiction is pretty
the
minor.
druid can turn into a werewolf or a werebear.
Yeah, that's about it. In
Yeah.
game, it matters. In setting, it's negligible.
Yeah, because you don't get a lot of the nuance from this particular book that you get from Diablo, but that's coming in the next set.
Yeah.
I have more Diablo books to review.
Oh boy.
But basically, Barbarian gets enticed by the helpless necromancer's apprentice, who basically
by big titty necro waifu.
necromommy, yes. But basically, she's been playing him. She's a high level necromancer. She used him to free an artifact that makes no sense in the context of Diablo.
Oh,
but
we'll get to that.
Then there's a spirit army a la Lord of the Rings, which this came out in like 2011 or
before D3, but after D2.
Let me see here. Yeah, it would be after D2 because that's what these characters are based on. Diablo, Dark Horse. Yeah, it's 2001.
Yep.
So shit, is Diablo 2 20 years old?
Yeah.
As if we didn't have enough tragedies in 2001, they had to come out with these.
Again, I like the art on all of them, and this is by far the best story of the book. By the way,
wait a minute. Ayrton, are you saying Diablo 2 Twin Towers Half-Life confirm?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm saying Diablo did 9/11.
I mean, Church, don't you have a phone?
I mean, Bobby Kotick is a piece of shit.
Yeah, I didn't have a phone for a long time. The last script is written by Dave Land.
Okay, and yet again, good art, short content.
Same artist, just doing a different art style.
Yeah.
So, this one's about a paladin who finds out that his order is basically working for Mephisto, and he saves a girl, takes her to one of their chapels. They try to sacrifice her, and he tries to stop them. They teleport away with the girl, and he burns the cathedral down. The end.
Well, here's the thing. I can see a conversation in a boardroom somewhere where they said, okay, we'll release the first book as an anthology, right? And then if it does well, we'll do more, right? And that you could, in fact, have done the suggestion that all of these anthology stories were actually introductory and we were going to build the party over time. But obviously, it's a video game tie-in. It didn't do that well, so they didn't make more of them.
Yeah, this was this particular book. I'm sorry, I was distracted by a churchling.
No, that's fine.
But
the thing is,
are you talking about this book?
Yeah, this book specifically. Because if you think this book is bad, I will tell you that what's worse is the Diablo 2 tie-in to D&D. That's a fucking disaster.
Well, you'll have to tell us about it after we review the 5-issue miniseries for Diablo 3 by DC Comics.
Again, who's writing it?
This one, it looks like Aaron Williams.
Okay.
Now, I would say this is a fantastic story.
Well,
this is very much in the spirit of Diablo.
Well, before we dig into it, let me explain why, even if this is good, it is in fact built on a house of sand. Okay? Because I know this. Maybe you're not familiar. So, back in the...
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm just fucking with you.
So back in the day, Blizzard was this small company made up of a D&D group called the Thunderlords, right? And Chris Metzen is basically the creative in that group. I believe he was also their DM, which doesn't surprise me. He came up with the lore for Diablo. He came up with the lore for Warcraft. And they decided at some point, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had novels made in our settings by the authors we used to read? Which is not a bad idea, right? Except it's literally a case of don't meet your heroes. Okay? They grabbed up famous authors from D&D, right? Christy Golden, Richard Knack had done some work for the second generation of Dragonlance when the authors of Dragonlance were at odds with the owners of D&D at the time.
Now, do they play guitar as well as Dragon Force, or
No?
I don't know,
Oh,
and that's
okay.
not pertinent because you know what Dragonlance is, you pedant. The thing is that they got up these authors who then proceeded to write in their settings. Now, for Warcraft, which was already basically a D&D setting by way of Lord of the Rings, but different, all they did was they just made it into D&D. That's why modern Warcraft through World of Warcraft is just a D&D setting. All of the originality and the interesting little quibbles got drained right the fuck out by the new authors.
The same could honestly be said about most of the magic settings leading up to New Phyrexia.
Right.
Like Kaldheim, D&D setting, fucking Throne of Eldraine, goddamn Narnia and D&D.
Right.
You know, fairy tales in D&D, basically.
And the basic reason for this is because the guys at Blizzard let these authors do whatever they wanted. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that brings us to
Wizards of the Coast, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying Blizzard let these authors they brought in to write for them do whatever they wanted because they were fans and they were like, oh, whatever you do is going to be great. Okay? And that brings us to Richard Knack. Now, Richard Knack is, to be fair, a New York Times best-selling author. Okay? Mm-hmm. He has the chops to write.
Well, so is Stephen King, but that doesn't make him any less of an asshole.
His Dragonlance work is widely disdained. People prefer the original authors, unsurprisingly. Right? Richard Knack does not understand Diablo at fucking all. Okay? I have the omnibus. I have all the books that he wrote for Diablo. They are ass. And the worst part is that his writing became canonical. He's the one that made humans not just humans, but Nephilim. He's the one that introduced this cosmic.
Not all humans are Nephilim.
No, all of them are. It's actually all of them, because humanity. Humanity. According to Knack's work, from 3 forward, because it's in novel, humans did not exist at all until a demon and an angel had sex.
Right, but not all of them were blessed with the power of the Nephilim, is what I'm saying. Over time, that got washed out.
That doesn't matter, because words have
That's how you get pieces of shit like the goddamn gamble traders.
Right, but here's the thing. Words have meanings, okay? A Nephilim is, in fact, a half-angelic being from...
half angelic, half demonic.
No, a half-angelic from classic Christian theology.
Oh, no, right? I'm talking about in Diablo lore. It's a half angel, half demon.
I get that. What I'm saying is that by the logistics of the word that they specifically chose to use in their lore, all humans are Nephilim, whether they showed the evidence of powers or not. Because they weren't created by God. They were created by illicit Congress.
Well,
right.
I mean, that's how humans are created anyway, but these were... All right, so I hear what you're saying, and I do agree with the disdain of it all.
Basically,
I only follow the video game lore.
Basically, what I'm getting at, okay, is that this author wrote novels, okay, that are not Diablo. They are generic fantasy novels with a light, very light Diablo patina. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but then rather than say, and this is secondary ancillary material you can choose to listen to or ignore, that became, from Diablo 3 forward, the canon, the official flavor. So Diablo got pasteurized. So any stories in a Diablo 3 plus world, even if they're good, and let's hope this comic is good, are also kind of shit compared to classic Diablo. If you're a Diablo fan, this is not Diablo for you.
Well, the books, those books in particular that you're describing are one of the main reasons that people like you and I have issues with superhero media on television and in movies, because there is source material and there's years and decades of lore that are just shit on by people who are trying to make a fast buck using a blanket of a loved character.
Right.
I mean, I was talking to a coworker today, and it might have been the glue fumes or whatever, but I showed my power level about comics a little bit, and we were talking about deconstructionism, and he didn't understand what that was, and I said, okay, so you know Adam West Batman, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, so how do you go from Adam West Batman to Christian Bale Batman? And he's like, you know, I never really thought about that, and I'm like, you do that through deconstructionism.
Right.
Like, I think that the happy middle of Batman the Animated Series is where we always kind of needed to be and stay.
Yeah.
But in talking normie terms, there's a fine line that you have to cross, and then inevitably you always end up with, where's the
well to use this as a comparison, because it will
Some
riff on
days
what
you
you
But I
brought
have to
up.
get back to
Get
my
rid of a
review,
bomb.
so yeah.
Well,
Make it fast because I got to get back to my review so we can move along.
Right. So to riff off of what you brought up, what I'm getting at is, in the same way that Dark Knight Returns was an Elseworld story, but DC has now decided that's the future of Batman and is trying to break reality to make it happen, and then trying to use that to build off of Dark Knight to create Batman Beyond as the canonical future, and it's all a big mash of weird shit that doesn't work. Diablo did the same thing. They took what are basically Elseworld novels and said, that's our canon now.
As opposed to using the Dragonlance canon rules.
Right.
Everything is true in the book it's written in, and it could be referenced in another book, and people are going, you actually believe that story?
Right.
With a 9-foot tall wizard?
Right.
That's
so
weird, man.
So, as a for instance, to put a finishing point on this, we are now to officially believe, I shit you not, that a pirate who ran away from home because his daddy didn't hug him enough and he was sad became possessed by a demon that grants wishes. And then that demon is being tortured forever by the human who has the free will to grant wishes how he wants, because he's using them to grant wishes to make people's lives better. In Diablo.
Oh yeah,
because that's the flavor of a Diablo story, right? Is happy, is sad wish boy makes people's lives better. That's what I hear when I think Diablo.
This comic, I actually really enjoyed this.
Okay.
The Diablo 3 Sword of Justice comic by Aaron Williams, Joseph LaCroix, and Dave Stewart. The overarching story is about a lone traveler who stumbles across a prophetic beggar, basically thief. And the beggar's telling a story about how the high heavens and the hells fought, and an angel and a demon sought peace on a planet they created called Sanctuary. So it gives you kind of the intro to how the world came to be, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But in this world, there is a mountain, and on that mountain rests a world stone. And a certain sect of barbarians were tasked by Tyrael to guard this world stone. Over time, they become corrupted by a blood plague that enrages anyone who is affected by it. And the way the plague is spread is by bleeding like basically losing to your opponent, you spread the plague through your blood. And then, the person that gets drenched in your blood becomes rageful and goes on to make others. It's kind of convoluted. I would suggest everyone read it. But you follow a young boy who has to slay his own father because his father killed his mother because of this blood plague. Now, they are warring with the tribe of barbarians that were once set to defend the World Stone, and that's the catalyst to all of these issues. So the barbarians have this blood plague. This town, this fortress is trying to fight them off because they keep raiding. The leader of this town gets drenched in barbarian blood, becomes infected with the blood plague, starts spreading it throughout his town. His son,
the news.
his son kills him, but does not get drenched in his blood and flees, not knowing he's being drawn by the song of Tyrael's sword. Tyrael's sword is in a mountain. This guy here with the third eye.
Yeah.
He tells the guy, look, you got to keep going northeast. Keep walking till you see a mountain. That's double. And the guy's like, this crazy old fucker. He's lucky I'm already going northeast, right? Guy gets to the fucking mountain and he's like, holy shit. So he looks underneath the caverns in the mountains, and lo and behold, there's Tyrael's sword being guarded by a wizard. Now, the wizard has been there for God knows how long, but the sword has kept her fed and nourished and, all that shit. So she just decides to tag along, and they form a little party. Now, unlike the previous comic, which the only accolade I could really give it was the art and the fact that some of the fight scenes really captured what it feels like to be a barbarian in the middle of a Diablo fight, you don't get a lot of those crazy fight scenes in this. You do get some combat scenes, but they're not as drawn out, and the art, it's not as polished, but it has its own distinct style, and it's very consistent, and I like it personally. It's not the best art I've ever seen in my life, but it's consistent, and it doesn't feel, it doesn't feel cookie cutter. So these are the barbarians, by the way. They're 18 feet tall and covered in blood runes. But this is how action takes place. It's cutscenes. I didn't appreciate that as much. However, throughout the course of this 5 issues, you get the essence of a fucking Diablo game in the sense that this kid goes back and fucking forth doing stupid shit to get to the end of his quest. Oh, I got to go get this sword. Now I got to go back and save my village. Now I got to run away from the villagers who want to kill me. Now I got to give myself up to the villagers so I can bring a trap. It feels very much like I'm on a quest in Diablo while I'm reading this, and I love that about it. I can't say a whole lot bad about this. I would have picked a better font for the lettering. I like the page layouts. I like the art. It's very consistent. It's very clean. And the story is easy to follow. It doesn't jump from, it does do a little jumping from flashbacks to present and all this shit, but it's very clear and concise where those jumps are, what you're looking at, and why you're looking at it. The story has a very clear beginning, middle, and end. It doesn't drag on. It's paced very well. I honestly have to say, I would recommend that all of you, anybody interested in Diablo, should absolutely read this. It kind of feels like Diablo and a D&D campaign kind of had a baby, because by the end of it, there's a 3-party campaign setting off for a new adventure. I'm not going to spoil the entire story and everything that happens, but the brief overview, like I said, guy sets out running away from the fact that he killed his father, finds a mystical sword, and ends up having to fucking go back and save his homeland. But there's twists and turns. You discover the demon bad guy behind the blood plague, and it's not Mephisto or Diablo or Baal. So I don't know, but I read 6 comics in preparation for this show, and I have one more review for you bastards.
Oh, I thought I was going to use Mephisto as a segue into something Larry put in the chat.
You can still do that, but I have one more review. Monster Energy. Are you guys familiar with that brand?
No,
I am familiar.
I haven't heard of that.
I am. I don't want to
okay.
my kidneys anymore.
Okay, well, you can actually doubly destroy your kidneys with Monster now because they have this new alcoholic beverage called Monster Beast.
Mm-hmm.
Is it good?
It is 6%. It is 6% alcohol by volume, and it fucking tastes like Monster.
So it's like Four Loko. If Four Loko didn't taste like ass.
There's no caffeine and no sugar.
What?
They took the caffeine and the sugar out of it.
But why?
Okay, that's good. So you won't have heart
not kill you.
palpitations. Yeah. That'll give you arrhythmia if you...
It still tastes like Monster with a little edge to it.
So in other words, it tastes like ass.
No,
I
man,
like the way
I like the
Monster
taste of
tastes.
Monster.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it better than fucking any other energy drink on the market. Red Bull tastes like fucking ball sweat wrapped in underwear.
All the energy drinks taste like ass.
But these don't. There's a peach one and a berry one. They come in regular Monster size and singles, or you can buy a 12-pack of the slim cans. I bought my coworker a 12-pack of the slim cans and gave him a birthday card. Said "Happy birthday, fuckface," and he was very appreciative of that. But
Nice.
Monster Beast, 6% ABV, tastes like Monster, not like
Okay.
Four Loko.
I'm gonna have to hunt that down.
Yeah.
All right. So Larry, speaking of Mephisto,
So three reviews, 2 of them comics. Fuck you, Rune. Tired of your shit.
Oh,
And I'm going for a smoke.
You mean tired of me being on point and trying to keep this thing back on its goals?
Well, the problem is comics is garbage, and here's a prime example. There's a big news story about Kamala Khan dying to honor Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
I know that just some guy is persona non grata in a lot of ways. But
hold up.
I just want to say on this subject, he put out a video, and the title, which is all I'm going to talk about,
I
because
saw
I'm not gonna
that.
watch it, is the excellent description of this: death of a token.
Well, hold up.
Well,
So
real quick,
this
Larry.
is the second time the character has died in 10 years.
Yep.
Well, I saw something, and I have to share it. I'm going to go for a smoke. I'll be listening. But I saw something related to this, and somebody said Kamala Khan. Oh, it was you guys shared it. It was Moon Knight, and he said Kamala Khan was an Inhuman. I thought she was just bitten by Mr. Fantastic.
I meant to have that one ready to pull up. Damn it!
Look, that one time, Mr. Fantastic got really high on shrooms and bit someone.
But my fundamental problem with this thing, in addition to it being a cheap attempt to get publicity for a lagging Spider-Man book, this is the second time she was killed to boost a lagging book featuring Spider-Man. Only the first time it was Miles.
Well,
it didn't work real well then either.
Well, first and foremost, no, it's the first time she died for Spider-Man. The original time she died for Miles Morales, who is not Spider-Man.
I mean, at best, he's Miles Morales : Spider-Man.
Yeah. Well, Miles Morales : No, my problem is I am fucking tired of Marvel dipping into the Mephisto is Satan well.
But
Okay.
we don't know if Satan's going to bring her back this time.
No,
brought her
that's
back
not it.
last
I'm
time.
just tired of people. Spider-Man made a deal with the devil, and this is the thing that Spider-Man do. It's like, no, it's fucking retarded. It was retarded when Peter Parker did it. I don't care if Mary Jane was involved.
You know the reason why Peter
retarded
Parker did
when
it.
Miles did it. It's retarded when anyone does it because everyone knows Mephisto's gonna fuck you.
Well, hold up. You know the reason why Peter Parker did it? Because standards and practices wouldn't let Peter Parker get divorced because it was immoral.
That's not standards and practices. That's called the editor-in-chief had a mat on and doesn't think
No. Corporate, his original idea was a divorce, and corporate told him no. Standards and practices says that's too immoral and it would violate several of our contracts.
I mean, that might be so, but he then went on to say that publicly that nobody would be interested in that was a boring story.
I mean, that's not incorrect.
One More Day was a boring story.
And the entire reason that he wanted to break them up, his personal onus, was because he thought that the Spider marriage was stupid. He wanted Spider-Man to go back to being a swinging hips kid from the 70s who bangs the black cat.
I mean, also, he was also getting divorced around the same time. So, I mean,
right.
There was another component.
There is absolutely a personal beef here that is retarded. And if you're listening, if Marvel had any fucking intelligence, they'd just fucking cop to it and undo it. They have the mechanisms. Fucking
Marvel,
do it.
The offer for us to purchase you for $12.86, which is your going market value, is still on the table.
By the way, I have come up with yet another good idea on how to undo One More Day.
Okay.
Have another demon who's a rival of Mephisto help Peter Parker fuck Mephisto over to get his marriage back, because that's how demons do to each other.
Oh, wait. You mean if there was a character in the Marvel universe who already exists? In fact, there's two of them that would have a vested interest in this, and neither of them is Johnny Blaze?
That was the perfect segue, Rune, for the other image I have. Thank you.
Who could they be? Could it be Satana? Or perhaps Damien Hellstorm, the son of Satan, both of whom would fuck Mephisto over for the lulz? I can't imagine.
But you posited a question. What if Marvel Comics was intelligent? And we have a Marvel writer who spilled some tea on Twitter. That's the second link I have there. Well, I wanted to talk about this on the show.
Well, there are many links in this thing, so...
The second one.
The Valley D?
Yep. Valerie D'Orazio, who was an author and editor, who wrote issues of Punisher and X-Men, edited JLA, Aquaman, Batman, Black and White, Magnus Robot Fighter, and Shadow Man. Also worked at MTV.
Oh my god, they actually responded to you. Holy shit.
Oh yeah, no, she did. She was actually pretty decent on this. And she starts off with a basic thing. When comic book publishers run stories that they know are going to piss fans off, it really puts the editor and the writer in an awesome position. So I started off with a question. So a lot of the times the editor and the writer try to own the decision. How often is that true? To which he said there are several scenarios that happen. A, bosses force the editor or writer to make an unpopular shock comic. B, the editor goes rogue and makes the unpopular decision. Mostly him/self, which ends up in a firing. And C, the writer sacrificed before editor publisher. Now, she went even further dispelling her tea by showing off one of her documents she was forced to do by one Axel Alonso. No, CB Cebulski, excuse me. And the fact that she is... No, it is Axel Alonso, excuse me. So the fact that she is pointing out one of the editors who is not popular right now is kind of suspect. So she was asked to write a Punisher story, but it's not about Punisher. It's about a female professional killer who wants to get Punisher to kill her. So she writes a pornographic book about the Punisher. try to get the Punisher to kill her. And this was one of her examples. But she then goes further.
Wait a minute. Did this book get made?
It did.
I think I read this story.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've read all of Punisher Max.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the one with the former mob woman who got cut up and is now hunting other mob women?
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry, Valerie. That's actually an amazingly good book.
It is, but the fact is that
they might have dictated it to her, but clearly somebody had talent because they took fucking lemons and made lemonade.
But the interesting thing on this little branch she had went even further. Everyone, publishers and editors, wanted me to write feminist stories and characters. And all I wanted to do was write Wolverine or Joker or whatever the fuck. So I felt like I was placed in the public arena like a sacrifice just for controversy, and that sucked. Early in my comics writing career with Marvel, I was also encouraged by several people in the industry to come out as a lesbian, even though I wasn't a lesbian. To increase sales, I was advised by a person in Marvel to pitch Cloak and Dagger as an LGBTQ story, which I did.
Right.
I had one person in
this part of the exchange I read.
So. Yeah. Asked me, what the harm would it be if I just marketed myself as gay? Just as a hook. I was told I'd be a superstar all over the media. And I don't think I've ever discussed this publicly before. It's wild. And I thanked her for sharing this because that was some serious tea that got spilled in here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
I mean, there's a number of things going on, but it does reinforce something that I've been saying to people in a couple of venues, that people don't believe me. Over in the OSR, that cabal that you guys frown at in a given direction, I am consistently telling people that the decisions of major corporate are hollow mercenary ventures, because they want to say, they really lean into the idea that if a company goes leftist, extremist, right, that they must therefore believe it. And I'm like, no, they don't. They don't give a shit, right? And they don't believe me.
No, it's all ESG bullshit. They don't actually care.
Well,
right.
ESG is an element to it.
But
another element is the HR component.
But that's the thing, is right here in literal written text, we have proof. You have a woman who just wants to make stories, doesn't care, right? And they're like, well, can you political it up for the points because it'll make sales? It's always that bottom line. The drama, the spectacle will make the money because they don't actually have faith in the product to just be fucking good.
So that was a very interesting thing. She also talked about how on MTV they tried to convince her to market the Earth 2 comic, Alan Scott coming out as gay, as Green Lantern coming out as gay. And she said, so you're saying Alan Scott, Green Lantern, is coming out as gay? No, Green Lantern is gay now. No, those are not the same thing.
Right. No. The Lantern is gay. Alan Scott is straight. It'll be deep. See, that's the thing. That's the problem. We want to write good comics, right? But the fact of the matter is that if the challenge was write something stupid enough that DC or Marvel would buy it and print it, we can do that too.
Let's use ChatGPT to write a woke Marvel script and send it over to them.
Now, if you click on that link I have that's not comic related, it is something related to bad corporations and writing.
Which one?
The one that's underneath this thing that says not comic related.
Ah, okay, there it is.
So Overwatch 2 canceled its actual story mode for campaign mode because they couldn't get anybody to write stories for Overwatch. They made a second version of Overwatch the game on the premise that there would be an actual campaign mode.
Well, they fired their creative lead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll grant you, their creative lead fired himself, but Me Too was a convenient out.
But I mean, let's go to the lore of Overwatch for a moment.
Sure.
There was a government task force that was fighting evil robots, if I remember correctly. And we're keeping it pretty simple. And then the government task force broke up, and there's some that are good and some that are bad, right?
Yeah,
That's
I've seen the Incredibles.
So all you have is some superpowered people who are good, some superpowered people who are bad, doing things like capture the flag, to the different kinds of player versus campaign
against
mode
the
for any of these
backdrop of growing human android relations leading to possible race war.
Yeah, but you don't have to worry about that because again, that's just your lead-in for your players,
right?
Fighting an AI-generated antagonist.
Yep.
I don't understand why you need a serious writing on any of that.
Do you guys remember the Gears of War franchise?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, Gears of War, and let's be completely honest with ourselves. Gears of War sold on one premise and one premise alone: chainsaw bayonets.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
I mean, it was cool when it was called a chainsword, but okay.
But it was a chainsaw bayonet, right?
No, I'm only
connected to a. Okay.
I'm only spinning a joke because when Warhammer 40K Space Marine came out, there were chuds who were saying that they ripped off Gears of War by having a chainsword, even though Warhammer predates Gears of War and the chainsaw bayonet. It's hilarious.
Well, I'm looking at the Wikipedia right now, and I'm just doing something real quick. I've got 2,144 words of a plot summary for the 5-6 Gears of War games, 7 Gears of War games, 8 Gears of War games. So chainsword or chain bayonet. We're just going to read the one for Gears of War. Gears of War is set 14 years after the Locust emerged and 4 years into Marcus Phoenix's imprisonment. The COG forces devise a last-ditch offensive to destroy the Locust by detonating the light mass bomb in their tunnel. So, Guy Foxing it. Marcus is reinstated into the COG army to supplement their depleted ranks, join the Dominic Santiago in Delta Squad on a mission map, the Locust Tunnel Network, in preparation for the bombing. Their unit is ambushed by Locust forces and sustained heavy casualties. Phoenix is promoted to sergeant and leads the Delta with 2 other soldiers, Augustus Cole and Damon Bard. While the sonic resonator fails to map the tunnel, Delta uncovers a mapping data already created by Adam Phoenix. Marcus retrieves the tunnel data from his father's lab, who has been studying the Locust and successfully deploys the light mass bomb. Many of the Locusts are killed. The Locust Queen, Marith, pledges to continue the war effort. In the month following the light mass offensive, the human population begins to suffer from respiratory condition known as rust lung, caused by the inhalation of emulsion evaporated by the bombing. The Locusts reemerge and bring with them a force that can sink entire cities on the Jacinto Plateau. After the destruction of Talon and Montevado, the COG fears the Locusts are trying to destroy Jacinto. Threatened with extinction, COG leader chairman Richard Prescott devises Operation Hollow Storm, in which thousands of soldiers will be deployed into the Hollow, locate the Locust stronghold, and eliminate them once and for all. So that's for fucking chainsaw bayonet game. Okay, that's a story that 90% of the people that played the game probably never paid attention to.
Right.
But it was still there.
So,
and they can't be fucked to come up with something for one of the biggest games. This fucking
now church
media has
church,
Overwatch has a fucking humongous following.
So church, how does that enable them to make a character gay, but only gay in a way that China won't notice?
Well, the blue and pink color scheme helps.
Okay, so So here's the thing. This is something we were touching on earlier, but we gotta circle back to Metzen for a minute and the writing of games. Chris Metzen was the creative heart of Blizzard in the olden time. Okay.
Was he the one who made the Cosby Room?
Possibly, or at least he knew about it and didn't do anything about it, which is the problem.
Was he involved with the filling of the breast milk?
I don't know. That's not the point. What is the
milk.
point?
I've got a story about breast milk.
What is the point is Blizzard was moving in the direction towards World of Warcraft. People who liked Diablo and wanted to keep working on Diablo tried to break away at first as Blizzard North, then as a little company you may have heard of called Flagship Studios for a game called Hellgate London. Hellgate London did so badly they had to go back to Blizzard hat in hands. But either way, the damage to Blizzard's stability as a company gave a little worm of a corporation you may have heard of called EA, Activision, the opportunity to buy them out. Okay? Metzen was elevated to basically an emeritus position where he could create his little stories and stay the fuck out of the way. All right? And he continued to do that. He was literally the lore head for WoW, among other things. Okay? But influenced by those previously named authors that had been brought in, right? His writing fucking tanked. Okay? So he's responsible for things like Thrall, the barbarian turned leader of the Horde, becoming Orc Jesus. And people hated it. Okay? Because his work was not selling. Okay? When Me Too came out and the Cosby Room came out and the breast milk thing came out, it was easier to convince him to step down than to fight it. Because it killed two birds with one stone. It ended a controversy. Don't worry, Blizzard will fuck up later. And it got Metzen out of the way. Right? When they got rid of Metzen, they put in their own people, like you could just mix and match them. Because the thought process seems to be in multiple industries that authors are interchangeable. They're not. Okay? They plugged in the new guy. The new guy is responsible for the last, I want to say, 3 lore worth of expansions in World of Warcraft, which are not only progressively more terrible and largely exist so people can ogle Sylvanas' ass because he has an unreasonable attraction to Necro Bitch. Okay? But he basically is riffing Endgame. It's magical Avengers. And that guy recently got kicked out of his job to everyone's great cheering. I won't even give Blizzard money anymore. And I'm like, oh, that's probably a good idea. But the reason I bring this up is Blizzard as a company is not just creatively bankrupt, it is lacking any creativity internally at all. They got rid of their most creative person. So if he had anything to do with the rudiments of Overwatch, what they had was the beginnings of a story and a setting. And they now don't have enough material to complete a plot. Right? But the thing is the article is 100% right, or the message is 100% right. You would think a company with that much money, because Bobby Kotick's not hurting for money, would be able to put together something, anything. But they don't give a shit because they're getting the Overwatch money that Fortnite's not getting.
Mm-hmm.
That's all Overwatch is. That's all it's ever been, guys. It's an esport. They don't care about setting or story, and they never will. That's why Titanfall's not going to get another game. Okay? That's why this mythical StarCraft FPS will never happen. Okay? Because, they're shopping around. They're going to do another one. Right? We're going to do a different one that's not StarCraft Ghost, guys. We swear. Okay? Now, I have a friend who has told me that Diablo 4 was remade like 3 times. I'm going to espouse my tin hat foil conspiracy and tell you now, Diablo 4 is just Diablo Immortal. It always was. Why did they race Diablo 4 out? Because Diablo Immortal went over like a wet fart, and people were mad because, yet again, Blizzard execs got on stage, said stupid shit to a live audience.
I mean, Rune, don't you have a phone?
Don't you have a phone?
I do have a phone. Can it run Diablo? No. If it can run Diablo, am I going to give Blizzard my money? No. Why?
I mean,
because I won't fucking
It's
pay
a free
Chinese.
game, Rune.
I don't care. I'm not going to put money into their in-game store because I won't support fucking Chinese gold sellers.
No,
Oh.
you can play it without paying anything, Rune. You can't win at all.
And
Ever.
I would just have to get my BattleNet account back, which I won't.
Hmm?
Because the second I have it back, it will be stolen by Chinese gold sellers again, and I will not be able to actually play my property that I fucking paid for because Blizzard doesn't care about its customers. Fuck Blizzard.
You gotta use
fuck
you gotta use a
Bobby
keylogger, Rune.
They can get fucked.
Gotta use that keylogger.
But off of Rude's point about how big companies want to devalue authors, Shonen Jump Plus editors co-develop AI tool for manga writing. If you click on that, that's the top link I have there. AI art may be a contentious subject these days, with Japanese content websites DL Site CEN, Pixiv, Fanbox, and Fantia all banning or restricting its use on their platforms just last week. There are still many other avenues for AI tools and creative work that don't involve machine generating the entire product for you. Shuisa Yadler, Yuta Momiyami, I'm not pronouncing it right now, who manages weekly Shonen Jump Plus, and Manga Plus online services, is particularly interested in how AI can help ease the tedious aspects of the writing part of manga.
The tedious aspect of the writing part.
That
Reveal
thing that
someone's job.
Oh, it gets better. I'm gonna throw this out there. Shots fired. You mean the part that manga is traditionally bad at?
Yes. Momiyama revealed on
Light
Twitter
novels
last
for the win.
Thursday that he and Shonen Jump
Light
Plus
novels are
editor
trash.
in chief Shuhei
You're trash.
Hosono co-developed the
Your
comic
mom.
Copilot AI tool, which utilizes
Correct.
ChatGPT with an easy-to-understand Japanese interface. The tool can be used to help come up with titles and names, as well as shortening dialogue to make it fit speech bubbles. The latter is a particularly big deal for manga creators, as individual lines of dialogue will often take multiple rounds of editing in order to succinctly convey the desired message. Now, this I don't consider it actually an egregious use of an AI writing tool for comic writing. Say, how could I say this with fewer words? That I think is fine.
Now, here's the thing that I want to say. I think the entire the entire tone of this article would be much different if the editors were talking about an AI tool developed to help manga writers edit and eliminate their job.
So, having given my hot take about manga, let me clarify. Because some manga and anime is actually very well written. Okay? But in addition to basically being a sweatshop job,
which it is,
because they don't give a shit about the well-being of their talent. The issue I have found as a consumer of the content is keeping in mind that a certain amount of information is lost through transliteration and localization, and that's a given problem that they're not responsible for. Manga either tends for extremely simple characterization and stories, right? Despite having excellent draftsmanship, manga still has backgrounds. They still draw actual buildings.
Although a lot of those are now digitally converted.
Sure. But also, there is a propensity to believe that if you just add more words, your light magic system or your skiffy combat system or whatever other contrivance of your setting gets more intelligent, right? So when you watch something like Tokyo Ghoul, okay, and you have this basic conflict between the ghoul extremists, the ghoul conservatives, and the government, right?
What about the Stargate Ghoul?
Shut up. When you have this conflict that could be really interesting, they fuck it. And they fuck it because some genius decided that what we needed to have was the conservatives, who are basically the good guys, the extremists, who are basically the bad guys, and then because we're Japanese and we actually don't like our government, because the Diet's a weak government, we'll have the government agents be fantastically evil.
Enemies gay, how about up the jack, do the race. Enemies gay, with the nanny, I don't care, gay. If you're way too enemy, then...
Yeah, good about that?
I do feel good about that.
The,
I thought I was pretty quick on the draw getting that downloaded and loaded up in the stream.
That was pretty good, yeah.
The ultimate,
I'm gonna give
the
you
ultimate
a clap on that one.
The ultimate point is, as using this one example, when you have sloppy writing, your entire world falls apart. And just because you added more and more text to try and justify it doesn't make it work. Doesn't work in manga, doesn't work in anime, doesn't work for one more day. Nothing is gonna make Kamala Khan interesting, no matter how many words you add telling me Kamala Khan's interesting.
I mean,
I don't know.
I
bet I
would
could.
have made Kamala Khan interesting because she has a lot of interesting components that, if they were competently executed, you would have had a good character.
I bet I could find a porn parody of her that has a compelling story.
Well, I mean, yes, but that's because the porn parodies are written by people who actually care about telling superhero stories.
I mean, I'm actually deeply amused every time I come across a superhero porn parody that is more comics accurate and has better costuming.
Oh, no, that's
my wife and I
hold
have,
up.
my wife and
Hold
I
up.
have had spirited my wife and I have had spirited discussions about whether or not the Pirates of the Caribbean porn parody was better than the actual movie.
Well, here's the thing, Rune, like 3/4 of the comic book porn parodies are done by the same person, who believes that it's essential to be as comics accurate as possible to get people to be interested and invested in the pornographic aspect of the film.
I mean,
it's a fundamental production vision point on those.
So, are you telling me porn writers have more integrity when it comes to source material than Hollywood?
This also means that you need to take that quote, you remove the adult content, and you just apply it to comics, and that needs to be a corporate byline. It is important to be comics accurate to engender the interest of the consumer. Done.
I actually think that along the line, somewhere in my quest, I have seen the Pirates porn parody without any of the sexual content. Like, it was all edited out, and they released it in the short.
Was it any good?
It was phenomenal.
Okay,
I mean,
so
it was
I
bad, so it was good.
I mean,
I think my next edit is going to be to find one of these superhero porn parodies and edit out all the porn stuff and see what comes.
We should do a watch party on that.
I mean, I would be interested if such a thing could be done for Lords of the G-String, to see if that's any good.
What's Lords of the G-String? I mean,
it's
I'm
exactly
looking it up.
it's exactly what you think it is.
Holy shit! I actually have two other reviews that are late because all of you guys have already reviewed these things, but I finally saw them.
I have two reviews to do for this show that I haven't gotten to yet.
Okay, go ahead.
So first of all, there's a little anime that was on Netflix called Ultraman.
Don't make me play the song again.
That's called.
No, Ultraman was good.
Ultraman was good, and the anime was good. So it's the third season of this anime where Ultraman, who's the son of Ultraman, is going out doing Ultraman adventures, fighting crooked aliens and stuff. But this one is all about helping the teenage Ultraman achieving his full potential as the Giant of Light. And it does something that we talked about earlier. It deconstructs Ultraman. It talks about how, hey, a superhero that's a giant monster man that stomps and destroys buildings, that's kind of effed up if you think about it. It kind of causes
Yeah,
problems.
a lot of collateral damage.
I mean, can we mention that Ultraman is a soldier and he stayed on Earth because he felt guilty about accidentally killing a dude by crashing his UFO into him?
Yeah. And it talks all about how Ultraman, in the process of
Wait,
these
scroll
things
back
happening,
up. Scroll up to that tweet. Oh, okay. All right, spoiled guys. Ultraman is the Iron Giant.
So in this one, Ultraman, it turns out that the alien who was assisting humans in running the science team was actually the villain the whole time. Although he doesn't view himself as a villain because his mission was always to eliminate Ultraman. So the easiest way for him to eliminate Ultraman was to train Ultraman and make Ultraman dependent on his technology.
Seems legit.
But of course, this is also a teenage coming of age story. Teenager learning to come to terms not only with himself but his father as a grown-up person. It was good. The only problem I have with this series is it uses that kind of yucky CGI stuff. I mean, it looks better than Ruby. I mean, that's not saying a lot. It's a similar style, but it's not good. It's not good. We want actual art in our animated television show product.
Well, the problem is that the anime artists and their efforts to cut costs have gone too far. If we roll back, I'm going to say 20 years, right? You have like Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust and Blood the Last Vampire, which are traditional cell drawing, but they are CGI assisted and they look phenomenal, right? Then you roll a little more forward, closer to now, and you have Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, which has cell drawn characters, probably more accurately computer drawn, but in cell style, with computer generated vehicles like the Tachikoma tanks, and it looks not half bad, right? Like,
but that's because that stylistic choice fits the setting.
Right. Now you have this cell CGI thing like a video game, and like, as a for instance, they used it on Berserk, and I'm like, but Berserk is a detail centric, hyper violent, ultra bloody anime.
Yes.
Why the fuck would you use this soft cell shading for fucking Berserk? It doesn't work for Godzilla. It doesn't work for Ultraman. Frankly, it doesn't work. And now, if you didn't see it, the newest Ghost in the Shell series is fucking horrible. Everyone looks like rubber hose people. It's super cartoony, and it's like,
it's not good.
Why is your government thriller about secret agents fucking cartoony? What are you people smoking?
Yep. Now, the other show I have to watch is done by a little guy named Gendy Tartakovsky. You might have heard of him. He's done a few things like the Samurai Jack, the Star Wars micro series, Primal. Those are all some of the things he did. He tried to do Popeye, but Sony wouldn't let him do Popeye. So he came up with a show called It's loading up there. He came up with a show called Unicorn Warriors Eternal. It's about 3 immortal warriors who are reborn to fight, as yet, because we're only 4 episodes in, a unclear evil. And part of the process, we have our main character, who is Emma / Melinda. who was going to her typical, I'm a Victorian era woman, and I'm going to be born into this new life. So she was about to be married, and then she becomes this dark, brooding, powerful, magical figure.
She transforms into Ashi from the last season of Samurai Jack.
I mean, kind of, sort of, yeah, and she gets turned into this thing by a robot that's powered by the unicorn that was made by Merlin.
Yeah.
It's a thing that happens. And then they find the cosmic monk who is being reborn into some kid in an orphanage because
into a plucky, color-coded kid in an abandoned orphanage.
Yes. Have you watched this?
Yes.
And he's the goofy kind of Popeye-esque character that Gendy wanted to make.
Well, everyone's drawn in a rubber hose style, and we decided the bald kid with monk powers should basically be Aang from Avatar.
Mm-hmm. And a random Russian street performer gets turned into an elf, who is the eternal lover of basically Ashi, but she's still confused because she doesn't want to give up her existence to the power of her eternal soul.
So, I mean, does anyone else want to tackle this before I dig into it with a knife and a fork?
There were some elements I thought were interesting, like in the third episode where they had two people who were preparing their whole lives to be the incarnations of these heroes, and they found out, oh yeah, you totally got passed up. That must suck for you.
I don't know. I have something.
Don't fuck with me! I have the power of God and anime on my side! Wait,
Thank you.
I always love it when you see a 12-year-old use the word fuck.
I mean, church, soon you'll be able to see that up close.
Well, no, I said thank you. I didn't say fuck you. I didn't hear that kid say fuck.
No, he said don't fuck with me. I have the power of anime and
God and anime
else.
on my side.
Yeah.
So Rune,
go for it, small king. Go for it.
So here's the thing. I love Gennedy's work. Okay, I really, really do. I think his Clone Wars is the superior Clone Wars, and I think that's why George made his. Was because he was mad that somebody did the Clone Wars better than he could.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've quietly tried to disavow that thing without admitting it exists. Primal was fucking amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't particularly care for the last season of Samurai Jack, but I'll take it. Okay. The thing is that I watched this, and while I love the rubber hose aesthetic, and it's very Gennady,
and it also fits what they're trying to do here.
Except it doesn't, and that's the problem. I recently watched a video about the problems in modern fantasy writing, and while there was a number of subjects, the one that actually resonated with me as correct is that despite we are in an era of phenomenal media, right? Lots of new things coming out. Prose has taken a back seat. So you can find a lot of fantasy fiction, new fantasy fiction, where people talk like you and I do right now. Modern people in a fantasy setting talking weird because they don't even try to adopt the patina or the patois of a fantasy setting, right? In that sense, yeah, sure, it's maybe Victorian or Edwardian, kinda, sorta, but not.
I mean, it's a steampunk.
It's a steampunk, and it's a bad steampunk. It is very sloppy. And
I mean, technically, no steampunk is good.
Well, as a for instance, I'm just gonna throw this out there. Your main character is a young woman in a Victorian setting, right? Who not only disappeared during her wedding after causing property damage, and no cops come looking for her, right? No bobbies, no peelers, right? But while we're at it, she's trying to scurry around town to figure out what's going on in public without a hat.
Yes, but she's powered.
Clearly not in a proper dress.
Hmm?
She might as well have her ankles on fucking display, and nobody notices and nobody cares.
She actually puts on a proper dress when she gets access to her clothes in the 3rd episode.
Sure, but I'm just saying that the Victorian context was an excuse to have jokes about the robot wearing a top hat and mustaches, not to actually have a immersive, flavorful setting.
Here's the thing: they're doing the whole.
Don't you mean Paul Fedora?
No, it was an
No.
actual top hat.
You motherfucker!
So the thing is, in the most recent episode, there's a love triangle between the reincarnation lover
stovepipe top hat.
and the fiance.
Yeah.
So there is an element of the Victorian / Edwardian romance at play in there, but it's not particularly deep. But
Well-
it's also a show on Cartoon Network.
Well,
Most
as
of them
a
aren't.
No, hold on. No, it's fucking hat time, ladies and gentlemen. See, Ayrton has been fucking antagonizing me about this.
Sorry,
and while I
guys.
am very well versed in fucking comic books, I also know because so growing up, I was in the generation like Larry, Rune. I know you guys are a little older than me. Ayrton, I know you're a little younger than me. I was in that fucking perfect generation for the neckbeard trilby wearing guy. And then all of the memes and all of the comments talk about them being fedoras, but those hats are fucking trilbies. So I went down a rabbit hole one day and I educated myself on the types of hats because I feel like it's fucking important to not forget fucking history.
Oh,
Okay?
it's actually extra bad, Church. I own 2 trilbies, 1 bowler, 1 actual top hat, a Voodooist top hat, and the only way I could get an actual fedora was for my mom to buy a licensed Doctor Who fedora. Because actually
you could
finding
also,
because
you
actually
could also
finding
get a licensed Indiana Jones one.
right, but that's what I'm saying. Actually finding a fedora that's a fedora and not a misnamed trilby, or worse, a misnamed pork pie is fucking hard.
Yeah, you have to get them from Europe, and it's a pain in the ass. But because there's no real hat makers left in the fucking U.S. However, Ayrton has decided to start trolling me by calling everything a fedora, and I hate him for it. But anytime he does that, I'm going to fly off fucking handle because it's one of my goddamn, like, as the new kids call it, it's one of my triggers. Okay, fucking hats have names for reasons. And Lincoln and the hat shown in the previous fucking image for this new Samurai Jack unicorn show, whatever the fuck it is. I wasn't really listening until he fucking misquoted a top hat being a fucking fedora. It is a stovepipe hat. It is a stovepipe hat, much akin to what Lincoln wore. You fuckface. Anyway, continue.
Well, I mean,
by the way, I've been having so much fun with this, trolling him on Twitter. I can't believe you guys missed that.
Well, look, Church. If you just want to aggravate Ayrton, just start calling Stetsons fedoras.
That's not going to aggravate me. That's going to aggravate Church.
It is, but what I will do is I'll just start calling all guitars Gibsons.
Sure, that'll work.
that's fine.
Or no, I'm going to start calling all cigars White Owls.
Well, remember, Church. All guitars are Gibsons except for Gibsons. Those are Stratocasters.
No. Gibsons are Arias.
Aria. That's a deep cut.
Look, yeah, that was the guitar I owned that my brother stole from me.
Ayrton, your shit lording over hats has no allies here.
That's fine. I laugh to myself so hard every single time I do it to him.
It makes me so mad, and I don't know why.
So
I have no idea psychologically why it makes me upset.
So Ayrton, are you saying this is the secret wars of hats?
Oh my fucking god, I hate you too, Rude.
So finish your thought on the
So-
show.
I'm gonna
Well,
kill
I know-
all of you,
Well,
Larry.
no,
I'm sorry, but you're gonna be
well-
collateral damage.
Well, no, I just want to know. I just want to know what hat Ayrton thinks Alan Moore wears, and how many fish penises are in it.
Oh, he wears
Alan
one of those Wisconsin
wears,
cheese hats because he's a fat ass.
Alan Moore obviously wears a Wellington top hat like the Mad Hatter.
Which again, I thought Wellington was a boot.
It's also a pastry encrusted piece of mignon.
Well,
I'm actually crying from this, by the way.
well, we don't have time for a more complex, explosive conversation, but I do have an interesting subject for next week for people who want to tune in. So you guys know that I'm working on some stuff for the Red Room. Okay, I can't say that I can't say they're putting it out this week, but soon they're putting out a book called Wretched Vigilantes, which is playing superheroes in their setting. Okay, and this has spawned a lot of conversation over at the Red Room's channel about what is and is not wretched. Well, obviously, I can't ask you guys that because you haven't played a wretched game. You don't necessarily know the aesthetic, but it did spawn an interesting conversation point to me, which is, yes, many superheroes are vigilantes, right? So Batman and Spider-Man and Punisher are all vigilantes, obviously, right? But not every vigilante in comics is a superhero.
Well, no, Punisher
So-
and Deadpool are both anti-heroes.
Right. So I think it would be an interesting conversation to have in the future about what is actually the required differential. How do you, solid terms, the difference between a vigilante and a superhero?
There is no okay, well the two things aren't mutually exclusive. You can
No,
be both.
they're not. You can totally be both. But what are the specific earmarks between the two? Because even though he is a vigilante, I would not actually say that being a vigilante is Spider-Man's goal. Spider-Man would be a spider cop if he could.
No, I don't think he would. I think, and this goes back to the one more day Civil War storyline that we all have a problem with.
I mean,
I
it
don't
also
think that Peter-
connects. It also connects.
Can I finish
to the
my
Steve
thought?
Ditko. Well, no, I was just gonna say
Fuck
Steve
you.
Ditko, man.
You guys want to fight?
Go ahead.
Fight, kiss. Okay.
Go ahead, Larry.
I was just saying, Steve Ditko, the guy who originally created the DNA of Spider-Man, would not have cooperated with no police.
And I was going to say that in the terms of Civil War and One More Day, that I don't think that Spider-Man intrinsically would ever reveal his identity, no matter his loyalty to the guy that just gave him a shiny new suit.
Yep.
I mean, this
Spider-Man
motherfucker
was-
silk screen spider webs on a piece of red tights, for fuck's sake.
I mean, that brings us back again. Joey Q get fucked.
Although actually, that was Mark Millar who made that decision because he needed it to sell the fucking Civil War comic.
Yeah. You
Right,
had to have
but-
something spicy for that.
right, but
and
Joey-
they hadn't approved Cap being killed off yet.
But Joey Q signed off on it. The
Yeah, but I
cap-
mean,
Joey Q signed everything that went across his desk, for fuck's sake.
The captain is responsible for the sinking and failure of his ship. He was
No.
editor-in-chief.
No.
He is ultimately responsible for what happened under his watch.
I mean, yes and no, because he's not responsible. You can't hold a child responsible for things, Rune.
No, you absolutely can. His job, his fucking job.
When they don't
on
know right
paper-
from wrong because they're stupid.
If he's not
can't hold
qualified, he
him
shouldn't have had the
responsible.
fucking job. His
Well,
job
that's Marvel's
was
fault.
to-
So
his
we're
job
saying
was
it's Bob
to-
Iger's fault, the owner of Disney,
he wasn't in charge then.
or
Disney
the
didn't own
CEO
them
of
then.
Disney at the time.
Disney didn't own them,
Yeah, he
own them
did.
then.
no,
no,
they didn't own them during
Not
Civil
during
War.
Civil War. They didn't own them already.
Not during Civil
Nope.
War One. No.
Okay, my bad.
I don't even think it was the guy from Israel yet.
Well, no, he was involved, but what's his face? Perlmutter was still in charge at the corporate level.
Yeah.
Oh,
but-
buddy, I just found some phenomenal some phenomenal
But-
content for next week while we have a guest that Ayrton needs to announce before we close the show
Oh
out.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Ayrton, if you would.
Well, he's muted right now.
Oh.
I think he's off.
No, it's
Good
not.
He
Good night,
was.
everybody.
No. You have to announce the guest. You have to tell, tell us what next week's going to be, you
He's
fuck
done.
ass. You did all the work.
He already said good night, everybody. It's done.
my bad.
I'm closing the show out. You don't get to know.
We're gone.
Sorry, I stepped away for a second to get some water. Next week, BC 14 of the Bigfoot Extended Universe should hopefully be on the show. So everybody else has to watch at least one of his movies.
I mean, again, I've got to watch another one of his movies again. But
I'm gonna go a step further. BC 14 is an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, film director, and editor. His involvement with cinema began as a film production major at Pittsburgh Point Park University. Following his second year, he headed west to Los Angeles. There he worked behind the scenes for productions big and small and haunted the film labs and vaults of most post-production facilities in town. After garnering acclaim for his early short films, music videos, and commercial specs, he wrote, produced, and directed his first feature, the noir thriller New Terminal Hotel. Wait, is this the same guy? BC 14?
Mm-hmm.
We're talking... Oh, man, this is going to be a great show. New Terminal Hotel, released worldwide by Image Entertainment RLJ as 2013 Do Not Disturb. In the ensuing years, 14 amassed myriad credits in live action, documentary, and animated feature films. In 2011, Red Room Press published the first horror novel, Scarla, which was followed by several novels and ghost-written novellas.
I mean, obviously, our friends like Don Chin are very important people, but I have to ask: is this actually one of the most important, like, actual established people we've had on the show?
It's up there, yeah.
Yeah,
I think this is leveling up.
Shut your fucking whore mouth. Don Chin is a fucking saint.
Oh yeah,
No.
no. Don Chin is awesome.
But we could use this and Don Chin to leverage to get even better people to show up. To say,
There are no
"See,
better people. There are no better people. BC 14 and Don Chin are the cream of the fucking crop.
No, let's be clear. Anyone who shows up on the Gospel of Comics is the best people. Is the best people.
But I mean, the kind of people that the video algorithms and social media audiences would want to watch in larger numbers.
This man wrote Van Helsing in 2023.
Are you saying that people should not want to watch the Gospel of Comics?
They probably
should.
should.
More people should. More people should.
I think they should.
More people should not want to watch the Gospel of Comics. That's correct.
No, more people should absolutely watch the Gospel of Comics.
Anyway, yes, we're gonna have BC 14 on the show. Known for The Dead Window, New Terminal Hotel, Bigfoot versus Megalodon, The Dirty Hands Man. He was a writer on Pets 3, Black Friday, Santa Saves the Galaxy. Pets and Pets 2, two of my kids' favorite movies.
As I think about it, I was uncertain about this guest. I was kind of like, I don't know, because
this motherfucker's got credits on movies that my kids watch.
Well, that's the thing, is that I'm like struggling because the movies on Tubi are a special,
are
acquired
wonderful.
taste. Yeah,
They're phenomenal.
They are a thing to be seen.
They're like the guest on the church.
And the thing is that my brain was like, what can I possibly say? Because I've seen many things, but I've never seen anything like those before. And yet
they are some of the movies of all time.
And well, the thing is, it occurs to me with what this guy does with his work. We could do it. We could brainstorm with him. We could workshop, and we could get the Gospel of Comics, Church of Comics
No, it's the Church of Failure now. We're no longer the Gospel of Comics.
I'm just saying, we get the church. We get the Church of Failure concept, with you being piloted by the various drunken cynics of the world, as a film. We could get
drunken, disabled, and Jewish cynics. Yes.
Well,
right.
That's nothing fair.
Let's see how we get on with him first, Rune.
I'm slowly learning the ropes on the AI film app that generates film images.
Oh,
hell yeah!
I am
It's super duper first generation beta.
I'm just saying
beta. He's a beta male.
I'm just saying I'm very curious to how potentially super wealthy this could make us.
I just want to talk to the guy. I have so many questions.
No. If Larry figures out AI and we make an AI guided film that is
that I thought you were talking about this show
that becomes complete batshit insanity and somehow becomes a meme, we could in fact get internet famous.
I understand that, but you understand we'd have to delete 5 years worth of catalog to pursue that, right? And completely change up our demeanor.
I don't know about that. I think we should bear our
Rune, I've said the N word on this stream before.
we should bear our inadequacy like armor, because clearly everyone knows what we're about. We're not lying about it.
Yeah, but that's like 6 people. So anyway,
I'm just saying.
Now you can do the thing here.
I'm just saying, if we got some attention, and then people were like, "We're gonna cancel you," it's like, for what? We never hid that we're a bunch of pieces of shit.
That's a fair point. I mean, I don't care
indeed.
enough. Cancel it.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
So before we all disperse, I
said good night, everybody.